Right. It is November 24th, 2025, and it is Motivated Monday. Last couple of these before we get into the new year. And thinking about a couple different things, but I'll be running Motivated Monday. There'll be kind of a 12-week plan getting into the new year to help guide quarter one to help you achieve your goals when it comes to getting after whatever you want to get after in life, right? And one of the things I was thinking about today and looked over today was just, you don't have to be ready. You just have to start. I mean, you think about the power of that, right? I don't have to be ready to start working out. I don't have to be ready to, start trying to build my business. I don't have to be ready to chase my goals. You just have to start. And what does that mean to you? What does starting your goal look like? What does getting after it look like? I mean, I can say from, this morning, I was tired, had a hard time sleeping last night, right? And I think a lot of us do. And I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to do it. I'm going to be honest. Like it was hard to get going. I was not ready to get going. I just wanted to sit on the couch and I wanted to relax. I wanted to do nothing before I got into today's uh, call, into the work today. And that happens a lot. That happens enough. And I get up, I get moving, and something happens, right? I don't hang on to that first thought of the morning. I don't hang on to that I can't do it mindset. I say, yeah, you know something, I'm starting to wake up now. I can do it. I can do the work. I can get the work done. I don't need to sit and do nothing for an hour. I can make it happen. And I think a lot of that comes from habit, from doing it over and over and over again. And it comes from having goals too, right? I've got these goals that I don't want to fall short on. And if you don't have goals and you're just doing things to do them, then it makes it a lot harder to get where you want to be, period, right? You don't know where you want to go. You're just kind of moving through the world. So you don't have to be ready. You just have to start. What does that mean to you? Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am all right. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little tired. Did not want to start the day today. I was like, I just want to sit. I do nothing. I want to let the next hour go by, hour and a half go by before I want to skip my workout, and I want to just get on the call. Like I just want to sit on the couch, right? But I got up, I got my workout in. Didn't finish it. I'll have to finish my jog later today, but I got the weights in today, so I was actually happy with not wanting to do it. I got up and got it going.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah. What's up in your world?
Well, I am new, so this
Hmm.
is my
Hmm.
first time joining your meeting,
Uh-huh.
and I'm
Okay.
super
And
excited.
now you have been at the office for how long?
I just joined like
Okay, you
last
just
week.
joined. Okay,
Yeah,
and you've just been an agent. You just got your license as well.
correct.
Awesome. All right. And so how long ago did you get your license?
Just like a month ago.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
and is it Mavash?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Make sure I pronounced it right. Awesome. Well, hey, good for you. What's your license number? Do you know it?
No.
It's probably around 450,000. And the only reason, and here's the reason I ask, is
It's
because
a four. Yeah, it's a 4,000 number.
yeah, it's a four hundred
Yeah.
thousand, right? And I think it's a 440 or 450. It's in that range. I know that because they count up, right? Like from the
Oh,
so if you meet someone with a license number of under, you know, 200,000 or 100,000. They've been doing it forever.
Oh,
Like,
gotcha. Yeah,
so anyway,
that's the yeah. That's the
yeah, so I
range
just,
I'm in right now.
yeah, exactly. So I just like to, I just kind of keep track of that just to, because I'm 300. I've been doing this for 8 years, coming up on, and I'm 383,000.
Okay.
So that gives you a sense of okay, how many people are getting their license per year, and then 80% of that fall out. So 80 to 87. Did you know the failure rate in real estate?
Mm, well, I've heard all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so it's 87% over 5 years. Usually, and I don't say that to scare you. I say that hopefully to help you,
Yeah,
right?
but
Because
that is a fact. That's data.
yeah, right. I want you to be in that 13% that does not fail. And that was one of the things I specifically I didn't know it when I got into real estate. I was like, I'm just going to get my license because I want to change in my life. And
Yep, that's it.
that's it, right? Okay, good
That's
for you,
it.
good for you. Yeah, and one of the big things I tell a lot of people is I put my big why on my wall, because at the time when I got into real estate, I was working 55 hours a week as a single dad at my main job, and I didn't know anyone in Atlanta, and I had just got out of a bad divorce, and so I was like, I'm not getting time with my daughter, even though I have 50-50 custody with her. So I was like, my first couple of years in real estate, I was working 85 hours a week between both jobs. And so I had my big why on my wall. And it was, do you want more time with your daughter? Want to make a living in real estate? Yes. Make your calls, no excuses. And whatever your why is, and this is something, I mean, whether you're getting started, I think you're further along, right, in your career. It's helpful to know what that is and have that present, right? Knowing what your goals are. That was kind of little. I was literally just thinking about that and talking about that for a minute. And by the way, I'm recording this,
Okay.
um, so and what I do is I post these on. I'm just starting to post these on YouTube, trying to post every week, just so like I don't. I'll see if any traffic eventually makes it to that channel. It's sort of an experiment. I want to see what
Sure.
happens. But so for you, you've just been licensed, right? You said you wanted to change.
Yes.
What else? What I guess so. You're dual career.
I am actually. I just went back.
Okay.
So, I was out of work for like about 3 to 4 months,
Hmm.
taking care of my mother. Really, that was the reason why I quit my other job.
Hmm.
And while I was doing that, I was like, okay, well, why don't I take advantage of this time while I'm not working?
Hmm.
And I've been thinking about sales for a while, real estate in particular. So I decided that I want to go ahead and take the school classes and go ahead and get that knocked out. And as I was going through the process, I mean, luckily I had a good instructor, so the inspiration was like tripled,
Hmm.
and just coming to the perimeter team, that was also another motivation. I like the climate, the atmosphere over there,
Hmm.
people. So it's a morale boost.
Awesome. Okay. Good. Good to hear. I
Yeah.
love our office. That's the only office I've ever been at.
Yeah. Okay.
Although I should say now it's the only office I've ever worked from. I've actually traveled to a lot of offices. I get invited to speak and teach all over town. I've actually flown as far as Miami to speak at KW offices. But that being said, I've experienced a lot of offices, and I love our office. And I don't think I'll ever go anywhere. I mean, I also like living in Dunwoody. So, your environment is a big factor when it comes to,
I
you know,
agree.
achieving your goals. So, are you feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, the links are between the emails you get bombarded with.
Hmm.
And I know those are reasonable links and I have to learn them. I'm not afraid about like taking the classes. I'm not afraid
Hmm.
of that. However, um, going through the emails and making sure all the websites are set up, the platforms are set up.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean that's it. But
It's a
no,
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to
I'm not
learn at
crazy.
first, right? I'm a tech savvy guy. Like, I mean, I'm a self-taught filmmaker, right? I've learned all these different video editing programs on my own. Usually I'll go to YouTube, right? But I'll figure it out playing with it, and it's a lot, right? It's the MLS, both MLS, two different MLSs, Command. figuring out showing time, all these different apps, all these different programs, and you're learning a new profession all at the same time. So,
Right.
I forget what the number is, but like, they say real estate agents have something like 30 different jobs, 50 different jobs. I mean, it's a crazy high number, right? Because we
It
really do.
is.
Yeah. And so ultimately it can be very intimidating, right?
Right.
And, you know,
And
and it's,
and
oh, go ahead.
and hear me out, like, and I was just thinking and brainstorming, like, what would be, I know the hardcore approaches, like, they have the 100 days, you want to uh, apply yourself and how you can be achieving your clients. However, now I do have a part-time job and I do
Mhm.
have, family
Yeah.
to take care of. So with that said, I am thinking about applying or learning what would be the best approach. So should I like directly work with the coach or take the classes as every day to make myself more familiar with the knowledge of the real
Mhm.
estate, which I know nothing.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. Hey, you don't know what you don't know, and you're aware of that. That's a
Yeah.
good place to be, right? You don't think you know everything. Now, here's okay. So you want to start like working with a coach is absolutely great, especially when you're getting started, right? Because it's like for one, we talk about you don't know what you don't know. So if people go, oh, I got to pay an extra 10%. Well, 10% of something is better than 0% of nothing, right?
Right.
Start there.
That's not my concern right now.
Hmm.
Anyway, I prefer working with a coach.
Hmm.
However, at the same time, while I'm now introducing myself in my local environment with the people that I'm getting in touch with, that I am a realtor. So, like, in fact, on Saturday, we had like a Thanksgiving get together and I met a
Hmm.
lender and he's like, well, I'm going to contact you next week. And I'm like, I don't know what to say because I don't know the words. Like, how do you speak to a lender or what they're looking for? Considering me being brand new.
Here's the thing, and that's actually a great place for you to be like, that's a super safe environment for you to say, I'm brand new. Why? Because a lender wants your business, right? That
Yeah.
period, right? That, like it's not like you don't have to worry about like you're like because we all when we're getting started get nervous about telling potential clients I'm brand new to this, right? That's a very normal look at oh well I want to hire a more experienced agent, right? That's a fear that we have that they'll have, right? But when you're talking to a lender, yeah, I'm just getting started. You can ask them all the questions in the world, and they're happy to answer, right? Because then you can pick their brain, and for them, it's like okay, great, if we all those of us that have been in this for a while understand that this is a long term uh, business, right? It's all about long term relationships. So, that's why I always, I'm always happy to have a conversation with people, help people out, and get better because I know I'm going to be here for a while, and the people that I help out, it comes back to me eventually. I know that. So, one lender, that's a great safe place to ask all the questions you don't know, right? Great, yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with you. So good, have those conversations with people who are experienced that can help you that are in other worlds. And here's the thing, then when you're talking to your clients, also they start asking lender questions. Great, that's a lender question. Let me direct you to my lender that I've built a relationship. You can ask them the question directly. You don't need to answer questions you don't know. In fact, you shouldn't answer questions you don't know. So
Correct.
that's a really good place to be. Definitely have that conversation, for sure.
So you can
Uh,
connect clients to lender directly to,
I'm sorry.
so you can connect clients directly to the
Always,
lender. Like current
always.
in our office, she can talk to them and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, all the time. So because that's what I do. Like, so when I connect with a client, right, and someone says, "Hey, I'm interested in buying a home," I'm like, "Okay, great. Have you spoke to a lender yet?" That's one of
Mm,
my first questions because if they haven't, then I'll have a conversation with them. And there are times like I've definitely taken buyers. And here's the thing: I won't, do not recommend this. Do not do this. Okay, you don't do
right.
this because you haven't done it yet. But like, okay, um, I've had the conversations with clients who I've talked to for years, and I understand they have money, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll take this person out buying, right, shopping, because I like for instance, like the one of the people, for example, a woman I've been talking to about this, she was buying her 20-year-old son a condo in Buckhead, shopping, 600 to $800,000 price point. The
Hmm.
first time we go, and I was like, okay, after having talked to her for a year, I'm like, I'm fairly certain they're good to go. Sure enough, the 20-year-old son pulls up in like a Porsche, and she pulls up in a Maserati. I'm like, yeah, I'd nailed that one on the head. I was right, but like, so I knew, but I had enough conversations with it. But at the same time, for you, you're getting started. You don't want to waste your time with people that aren't going to do the work, right?
Be serious,
So
right?
because you haven't had conversations with these people for years. Now, so you'll say, great, you're interested in buying a home. I need to connect you. You need to speak to a lender. It can be your lender, my lender. It doesn't matter, but we got to get you pre-approved before we can take you shopping. Okay. All right, great. And if they're not interested in having that conversation with a lender, then they're not a serious buyer. Right. And it's easy to get excited. Like, oh my gosh, I got a buyer. Great. Let's go out and start showing homes. But then are you wasting your time on someone who's not going to take all the
Move
steps?
forward.
And one, they might not even be able to purchase a home, right? So, um, because there could be something on their credit, right? Who knows? You never know. So yeah, so it's always acceptable, and it's common practice. So great, now it's time for you to talk to the lender, and then they start saying, oh, well, what about first time buyer programs, all these things? Great, that's not my area of expertise. Let's connect you with a couple different lenders, see what your different options are to help you with that.
Gotcha.
And ultimately, you do want to have relationships with multiple lenders, so that you can say, hey, why don't you talk to a couple different ones, see who can get you the best rate? Who's going to, what's going to cost you the least amount of money? What's most important to you? What can they provide? Because there are certain lenders, it's just like buying a home, right? Some things are going to cost you more, some things are going to cost you less. What is most important to you right now when it comes to purchasing your home? So yeah, and then again, legal questions, tax questions. People start asking like, "Hey, that's not my department. Let me direct you to the right person." And if you don't have the right person, let me find that person for you. I can help you find that person as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's helpful.
Huh?
Okay. That's helpful.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
What is it?
common. It's the same spill that you hear over and over again, but then when you're on the other side and becoming a sales rep, um, it's different.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
I agree. Like, right, because you want to be confident in what you're doing and come
exactly.
across as an expert. And when you're just getting started, it's intimidating and it's hard to do that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and ultimately, nothing is going to prepare you for it except by doing it, right? Like, in fact, that was one of the things I want to talk about today was, you don't have to be ready. You just have to start. And that was literally what I was talking before you jumped on. I was just talking to the camera about that, right? It's um because ultimately you're never going to be ready. I mean, fully, right? You're never going to know everything. I don't know everything. I'm learning new things every day. I had a deal that's I've got a deal that's been under contract for almost 6 months now. That's a
Oh wow.
land deal. Yeah, it's actually two contracts, two pieces of property that are right next to each other. And one of them needs a bridge. And I've learned a lot on this process for my client. I'm selling the property, about properties and what it takes to get a bridge built. That's crazy, right? So, but I'm constantly learning. You will be in this business because there's just so much. There's every deal is different. Um, so I would say absolutely get the coach, right? Take the classes as you can, but ultimately, I think the most important thing is talking to people, as many people as you can, right?
Hmm.
And having as many conversations as you can about real estate, whether you know it or not. Because here's the thing: one, it's going to make you better. The more conversations you have uh, with people, um, then they're going to ask you questions you wouldn't have thought of, right? And that's going
True.
to, right? And okay, let me find out that information. Let me find out that information. But 99, well, they say 2% of people are looking to make a deal, right? So you got to talk to 100 people to find two that may want to have a deal. So most of the people are going to say, I don't want to do a deal right now. Great. I didn't, can I stay in touch until you want to do a deal or until I can help you? Because what I tell everybody in this business, everybody I talk to is I want to be a long term resource for you. I want to help you take care of your home or help you get ready to buy a home, right? That way, when the time is right, hey, I've been the guy that's been helping them all the time.
Hmm.
So, and be ready for that, right? If you talk to someone and says, hey, I'm in real estate, is there anything I can help you with right now? If they
Hmm.
own a home, they're going to say, I don't want to sell my home right now. You say, great, I don't want you to sell your home right now. They're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, you're a realtor. Don't you just want to sell my home? No, I want to be a long-term resource. Like it's like, wow, it gets them intrigued. Like, because I built my business from cold calling. And the first few times, I don't know how many times, probably took 20 or 30 times of people saying, I don't want to sell my home. I'm like, I don't know what to say to that, right? Like, what do I say? Okay, bye. But then I'm like, wait a second. And then I started saying, well, I don't want you to sell your home. And I could hear the confusion on the other end of the phone,
Yeah, they're like, why are
right?
you calling me?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it gets them exactly. And then they ask that question. And now I've got them asking me questions on a cold call. Right. So if you're prepared, and then again, the more questions you ask, the more conversations you have, the more prepared you are for, what's going to come up. They say spontaneity is a conditioned reflex. Um, and so if, in what may seem spontaneous for me has just been from hundreds of thousands of conversations or calls. Not an exaggeration. I was making 2,000 cold calls per week when I first started my career.
Wow.
So, because I didn't know anybody, right? I was like, and I had like, and I sat in team meeting, and at team meeting, the team leader at the time, Brad, he said, he was from Gary Keller's book. If you get to 2,000 contacts in your database, and manage it properly, you can make $1 million a year. I said, how do I get to 2,000? I've got less than 50. That's why I was like, okay, let me just cold call. And that's why I landed on cold calling. So I would say, yes, get the coach. Absolutely. Right. Um, don't get too like slowly set up your system, your business, right? Don't get caught up in the business cards and the website and all the things. I've got a beautiful website I pay $300 a month for. Can I tell you if it's ever made me $1? I don't know. Right? Like, so, I would be, like, I would be concerned with the talking to people and then
Hmm.
command, right? Get into command, learn command, get your database into command and set your entire database up on a follow-up system. That is the most important thing you can do because you want to be systematic in your follow-up to help you build a successful business.
Okay.
Um, and whatever that follow up system is for you, that works for you. I will say you want to probably have like the cornerstone of my business is calling every single person in my database every single quarter. Okay. Um, and they'll get up to 3 phone calls from me per quarter. And that's a
And they
Monday
don't,
when
what is the response like when you keep calling them over and over again frequently and and even in the quarter, like,
yeah.
do they like,
So here's how it
why are you
goes. Like,
calling me? Like, I told you,
nope.
man.
And here's the thing. Very rarely does someone say, why are you annoying me? And in fact, most of the time, people are like, "I appreciate you continuing to do what you do. I am so impressed with your follow up." I have so many people, because I built these relationships from a cold call that say, "Tony, we have a relationship. I've never met you, but I've told my wife about you. You are my guy when we sell your home because I'm so persistent, right? And I'm not annoying about it." Um, and so here's how it works. Like they get a phone call once. It's a quarterly phone call, right? Um, and these are people that are not interested in doing a deal. And so it'll be up to 3 times. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, right? And you can do Tuesday, you can do call on weekends, whatever days you want to call, but it's never back to back calls, right? You don't want to call Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's annoying, right? So I'll call on Monday if I get a voicemail. I leave a voicemail and it goes something like this: Hey, it's Tony Toich with Keller Williams. It's that time of year to check in and see if you have any current or future real estate needs I can help with, including helping you take care of your home. Maybe you need a roofer, contractor. Let me know. If you need anything, give me a shout. If you don't need anything, no need to call me back. I'm just doing my job. Whatever, something along those lines, right? Second call, and this is assuming they don't answer, I don't leave a voicemail. That'd be on Wednesday, right? The first call was on Monday. Wednesday, no voicemail. Friday, I call again, no voicemail, or there's a voicemail on Friday. Hey, it's Tony Toich with Keller Williams. checking back in, seeing if you need anything. If you do, give me a shout back, roofers, contractors, whatever. If you don't, I'll check in later in the year. And at this time of year, I say, hey, happy holidays. I hope you have, happy Thanksgiving, happy New Year, all the holidays, all the things, however you want, whatever voicemail you want to leave. And that's it. And and then if someone picks up, and says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't call you back. I say, no need to apologize. This is the no fault, right? Like, you just also say, hey, no need to call me back, or hey, no worries about not calling me back, because you never want people to feel guilty for not calling you back, right? Um, and so that's it. Like that's like the my business was built by doing that. And in fact, I used to only call one time. But when I went from calling one time to calling three times, uh, that's when my business took off. Literally, like within 6 months of that, I actually, um, 6 months after that, I was the number one solo agent for year to date in our office. It was February. It was early in the year, but at the same time, again, that was still me coming from the year prior. I only made $40,000 in real estate income, 44,000 in real estate income that year prior, and then that February I was number one agent year to date. Um, so that
That's awesome.
you know that part of the power of that follow up system. And again, just by saying, "Hey, I'm here to be of service. If you need anything," and if someone ever says, "Take me off your list," I take them off my list, right? But I've even had people be like, I cold called, said you can stay in touch, right? And then I'd be calling for, in fact, a very specific um, uh, um, example. A gentleman I connected with in Brookhaven, um, Bob. I'd cold call him, said I could stay in touch. Then I followed up, months later, whatever. Got him on the phone. Hey, Tony Torch with Keller Williams. Keller Williams, click, hangs up on me. I'm like, I put disconnected, right, in my notes. And I know what disconnected in my notes means. It means they hung up, but that's just what I put. In case they say, oh, hey, I hung up on you. Oh, I thought we just got disconnected. I didn't want to harass you with phone calls. He hung up on me a couple times in a row, right? But then I kept following up, and eventually he was taking my calls. And finally, after we have conversations, he said, "Hey, Tony, listen, I'm getting older. I'm putting everything. My son is going to be handling the trust for my home. I've informed my son that when it's time to sell my home, I want you to be the guy that sells it." And then his son lives in New York. So he gave me his son's number. Uh, and, I'd been
Oh,
reaching out to this. Yeah. So but I'd stayed in touch with both of them, right? Been calling both. I ended up, the son called me this last year, said, hey, it looks like it's getting time to sell dad's house. So that was someone who hung up on me, right? Here,
right.
hold on. Give me 1 second. I've got to, I'm going to pause.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I was reading your quotes in the background on your
uh,
wall.
um, yeah, I love having, if you've seen my office in the office as well, I've got a whole bunch of art like this
Okay.
in there. Um, so yeah, so you're rarely going to get people that say that you're annoying them, right? Now, if someone says, "Hey, only call me once," like there are times where I say, "Hey, only follow up once," or whatever, right? Like, and again, it's all about reading the room and meeting your client where they want to be met. Another thing I do is if someone like is better at texting, right?
Mm,
Like you see how people respond to you better. So I still do that 3 time follow up, but it goes, call, the same thing, call, voicemail, call, no voicemail, um, call. And if they don't answer on that third call, instead of leaving the voicemail, I send a text, right? And it just all, but I
oh,
always want to get people. I want the opportunity to have that voice to voice conversation, because it's harder to ask for a
it's harder
referral.
to connect through a text message.
Exactly, right? You can misinterpret things. Um, so ultimately, so yeah, what I say is, so you talk to as many people like. So I was saying, learn command, right? Um, and then set every single person up in your database on a follow-up system in command. And even if it's, and again, I would say that quarterly follow-up system, right? To make sure you're
Mhm.
calling everybody in your database once a quarter. Um, and then from there, what other follow-up systems can you build on top of that, right? Because they talk about, hey, you want 36 touch, and really we want more than 36 touches every single year. And a touch can be an email, right? A phone call counts as a touch. A personal, like sitting down with coffee. Those are all quote touches, right? Interactions on Facebook, those are touches, right? Interactions on any social media. So how do you get them to continue? Like, how do you continue to build on those interactions? At the same time, for years, the cornerstone of my business was the follow up calls. I wasn't really as consistent about all the other things as I should be. I've gotten much better about that because now I have my YouTube channel. I do my weekly email that I tie to my YouTube channel. So all those things make it easier for me to say, okay, I've built on these systems over time. But at
Hmm.
first, it's just about having as many conversations as you can. And because ultimately, if you find someone who wants to do a deal today, there's a good chance they'll have someone they're working with, right? Because as soon as someone says, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a house, 20 people say, I know a realtor, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
Right. So ultimately, so you don't want to be scared about, I don't know what to say. Who cares? Let me get that information for you. You know what you should know? Inventory right now, interest rates, right? Like that's about it. Inventory where it's still, we're real close to a balanced buyer seller's market. Um, uh, hey, know that sellers are paying closing costs. Interest rates are around 6%. Okay, cool. Are they coming down? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, right? But at least if you know
In-
those items, huh?
Is is interest rate pretty? I mean, regardless of individuals' credit or history, the interest rates is pretty same.
No, no, no. Like, if you got bad credit, your interest rates are going to be higher,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like, yeah, yeah. So,
But when they're
but
asking what the going interest rate is, that's only people with good credits.
exactly, right? Yeah,
Uh,
and it really does. It also depends on, but you could say interest rates are around 6.25, right? Like, and you can just look that up, right? You can look that up. You can look that up once a week. You don't have. It doesn't change that often. So yeah, I checked last Monday, and it was, you can make the, hey, every Monday. What's the current interest rate, right? And then that way, like, and that if someone asks, here's the interest rate, right? Like, um, one of the things I highly recommend doing is get a mortgage calculator on your phone, right?
okay.
Um, because that way, if someone says to me, "Hey, I say, you want to have let's say someone says, I don't want to pay more than $3,000 or 3,000 a month, and I'm willing to put 10% down on my home." Okay, let me see here, $450,000. I'm just gonna plug a quick number in here. That's 45,000 down, 10%. I'm gonna put 6% in the interest rate. That's okay with oh, there we go, 4,000 a year. I'm just ballpark a number of these things. Um, let's see here, assuming there's a HOA. Okay, right, 10% down. You're probably four ballparking. You don't want we can't get your house that's more than 450 at 10% down and 6% interest, right? Um, because that mortgage payment will be 29.44 a month. Again, you want to have that conversation. Like, this is something I would be telling the buyer. You want to make sure we have the conversation with the lender, but I just give you a real fast estimate of what you can afford by you telling me you don't want to spend more than 3,000 a month. Like, wow, okay, that's powerful stuff, right? Like when you're having a conversation with someone. But again, it's
Right.
just having the mortgage calculator on your phone. Um, so that's helpful there. So if you know it, if you know the current interest rate, right, and then you start looking at playing things on the FMLS, so you like looking at the info stats and all that. Start looking at like history of inventory levels, history of interest rates, right? Because you can go back 15, I don't know how many years in the MLS, but if you tell someone, like, for instance, right now, you want to sound intelligent, like they say, how are inventory levels? Oh, we're at, 4.9, 5 months of supply of homes. That's We haven't had a supply of homes that high since 2012. You know what happened in 2012? That was the
Economy.
end of the last crash, right?
You're right.
So it's like,
Okay.
wow, we have, like, now that's not saying we're heading towards a crash. That's just saying that's the last time inventory levels have been that high. That's great information to give to potential buyers or home sellers, right? It's like, okay, Atlanta's been a seller's market for over a decade. Um, so just slowly start, playing, learning as many different things by playing in the FMLS, looking at the history there, information there. But ultimately, it boils down to right now, talk to everybody, put them on a follow-up system, period. Go from
Right.
there.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Okay. No, that was very informative information. Kind of helps me like kind of narrows my vision down to what I need to do. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's the same thing, I guess. The more people, more realtors, more, that I speak to, the agents in the office, the better conditioning it is for me as far as how I want to approach with obviously with my schedule in place. So
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
helps.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, if you're talking to Ashley, right, if she's going to be coaching you, I would definitely say, hey, how do I get my follow-up system set up in Command? So you're learning that and you've got that figured out for your database. That'll be incredibly helpful and get it just again, getting on a systematic follow-up system. Because it's easy to say, yeah, okay, I got to call a couple people, and remember when to call them. But what happens when, again, I've got 2,000 people, over 2,000 people in my database. How do I, there's no way to remember that without what to do without a system, without systems in place. And there's one other item. This is a game changer. Take notes on every single phone call with that you have
Okay.
with somebody. Okay. Because then like it's little things like someone says something like, oh, I'm not selling my house until my daughter gets into middle school. Okay, great. What grade's your daughter in? Oh, she's in fifth grade. Oh, so you want to sell before she goes into sixth? I mean, you want to get a new home before she goes into sixth grade? Yeah. Well, okay, it's December, or it's pretty much
Mhm.
December, right? And you want to basically get a house next summer, right? But now let's pretend she's in third grade. You have that piece of information now, right? So next year she's in fourth grade, right? So whenever you have that conversation, like, hey, I know you're not making a change until your daughter's in middle school, but I'm just checking in to see if I can help you, right? That you weave that into the conversation with someone that's like, wow, you were paying attention to what I wanted, right? Like, you got a great
Mhm.
memory. Yes, I got a great memory. No, it's in my notes, but so that's
Right.
incredibly, yeah, but that's incredibly helpful. So what
It's
their
true.
goals are and what they're looking to do. And you're not just calling up saying, hey, can I help you sell a home? Calling up and say, hey, I know you don't want to sell your home until XYZ. Can I help you anyway? That's even more powerful than continuing to just check in.
I agree. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Cool.
Oh,
All right. Well, any other last questions before we sign off for the day?
no, this is good. This gives me a good start off.
All right, awesome, awesome. I got a couple more weeks of this. I don't think like I think after the 15th, or I forget what date it is, of December, we'll restart after the new year, and then kind of I think I'm setting up like a 12-week plan for the Q1 for Motivation Monday. So there'll be different topics each week. All right.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Likewise, and thanks for jumping on today. And hey, go out there, get after it, and excited to see what you can do.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Pause this. All right. So, hey, because I was talking about getting started, right? Talking about a brand new agent, and she's, you know, trying to figure out what to do. And ultimately, like it's getting started, just doing the work. And what are the most important things to do when you are getting started when it comes to any goal, right? Comes to fitness. I always got to go back to fitness, right? It's just get moving, right? Figure out what you're going to work on and start working towards those goals. Do you want to run? Start walking and start running. Do you want to get stronger? Start lifting weights. Just get started doing the work and find out what that most important thing is for you in the moment to create momentum when it comes to your goals. Hopefully that's helpful. Hey, stay motivated.